Today, we're going to talk about how to hold pinches. Starting off with a big pinch, how you want to hold it is using the first knuckle right here. You want to press it as hard as you can into the hole. Open your webbing as far as possible. Apply great pressure down and then close your hand around it. Now, it may look like I'm allowing my skin to hold friction, but all the pressure is coming from the tips of my fingers. So even though this is a pinch, you really want to think about this side as if it was a crimp and this side as if it was another crimp. So you're just basically crimping on both sides at once. The cue that I like to use or think about is, instead of squeezing really hard like this, imagine trying to make your hand into an absolute fist. The act of bringing your thumb down will help you engage. The act of curling your fingers down will also help you engage. Because typically speaking, when you're pinching, these two fingers are doing all the work. And so you may start to neglect the pinky. But if you just think about closing your fist together like that, that will allow you to activate your pinky more, and that will make your hand even more solid. Also, additionally, when you're pinching, you don't want to have your fingers super spread out. Now, if this makes you feel better, you're just super weird. But typically speaking, you want to have your fingers together. And not only do you want to have your fingers together, you want to have them really close together and taut as if you're applying pressure together, like ding or like ding. So now you got that going on. Remember, knuckle, press into the hole, webbing wide and open. From here, close your hand as if you were making a fist. All the pressure on your fingertips. And now you're holding it nice and good. I will say, if you got really tiny hands and you're holding like a bigger pinch such as this, the thing I like to do is just take your index finger and just move it upwards. Now what this allows you to do, what moving this index over here allows you to do is, it allows you to sink your hand just a little bit deeper down. So if we have index there, move it down. If we bring it back, we automatically lose some space. So from here, index, bring it over here, allows you to sink your hand a little bit deeper down. And then from here, you just basically make a fist again. And that will allow you to hold the hole nice and tight. Now, even though this finger is up here, it's still using pressure to help the rest of my fingers create tightness. Because when you're pinching, you want to use your entire hand to close it into a fist. With medium-sized pinches, such as this one, all the same principles apply, except you have this thing called a thumb that you could turn sideways now. And it's kind of funny because sometimes holding a pinch like this will actually make it a lot easier to hold as opposed to holding it straight like that. So holding it like this might be easier, and holding it like this might actually be harder. So you're gonna have to play around, figure out which one you like. But regardless of which one you choose, remember you're trying to actively close your fist. I will say there's one particularly funny thing about pinches that I like about medium size, such as this. You will constantly have this gap. If you try to close it, what a mistake, don't do that. Just hold it at the half crimp. If you open hand, you're just gonna slip. But the funny thing about these is that if you have your thumb across your index, this is where all the pressure is coming from. If you have your thumb across your middle finger, this is where all the pressure is coming from. And if you have your thumb across your ring, that's where all the pressure is coming from. And thumb across pinky, that's where all the pressure is coming from. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're having trouble like actively closing your pinch or holding on to a pinch, by simply moving your thumb up and down the pinch rail of whatever you got going on, that can literally allow you to apply more force in a better location so that you're able to hold on to the hole better. Now this is very micro beta-y, but this might just be enough to help you send your project. So if you're struggling with a pinch, don't forget to play around with your thumb positioning, and of course your fingers, don't forget to keep them nice and tight and together and make that fist. Now, this is probably the most definitive definition of a pinch, because you're literally doing the pinching action when you're holding this really tiny pinch. Now, the same principle applies. You want to bring all your fingers together, close them in as if you're making a fist. So when I'm doing this, I'm actually doing this. Do it really tight and you're solid. Now, this one does have the ability to also turn your thumb sideways or keep it straight, whichever you prefer. Depending on the situation, one will be better than the other. And you're just doing this shit really. Again, squeeze it nice and tight as if you're closing a fist. Yep, and that's basically how you hold a big pinch, a medium pinch, and a small pinch. And the same principle applies for all of them. And that principle is make a goddamn fist. If you remember to make a goddamn fist while you're pinching and squeeze the fist really hard, you will notice that all your fingers are more engaged. You're able to hold on to the pinch better. Focus the pressure on your finger tips. And that's how you hold a pinch.